where they played Charleston and Liberty, and they were terrific.
So we're just about ready to roll here in Daytona Beach. Semifinal number 2, FAU, LMU. For the first time ever, these two teams going head-to-head on the hardwood.
And FAU does go with that original starting lineup as Elohim drives it. Devin Williams on the backboard.
And Elohim is fouled by the big fella, Rick Isanza, the 7'1" grad student from the Congo.
Big guys have certain roles in certain programs. We saw some guys in the earlier semifinal, and guys were able to step back and make threes from the perimeter along with being good in the low block. Isanza is a guy who's going to be in the post, and defensively he's going to be a guy who's going to be a shot blocker and in transition. And Coach Johnson talked to us about this. He felt like our guards can even reward him a little bit more when he runs the floor.
So Isaiah Elohim, the transfer out of USC. Fun little storyline between Isaiah Elohim and Jalen Shelley, number 1 in white. They're both USC transfers. They were both Trojans for Coach Musselman on the Muss Bus last year, and here they are as opponents.
And that's the world we live in today, Jake.
And here is Shelley with the basketball right now. Entry feed to Isanza. A big man battle. This one won by the 6'10" Devin Williams for FAU. Vanterpool in the game. The lone returning piece from that Final Four run out of Boca Raton 2 years ago. Williams can't finish. Pintalon couldn't get a hand on it either. A.J. Thomas, the freshman, an acrobatic move to begin.
You know, A.J. Thomas, for a freshman, has got a terrific body and strength. He went inside in transition and finished against the big guy with a tough shot up off the glass.
Here is Pintalon, who gets to the rack easily.
The Belgian big guy is extremely skilled and a very talented scorer. On that play, you see him on that left-hand drive down the lane line for the easy bucket.
A junior out of Belgium. He played on the men's national team for Belgium, not the U20 team, the men's team.
Well, that tells you a little bit about how their national program feels about him, certainly.
The foul is on Vanterpool for Florida Atlantic. This is going to be a high-quality college basketball game here on CBS Sports Network. Loyola Marymount 6-0 for just the second time in school history. Florida Atlantic at 4-1 as well, as Brown gets the jumper to go.
You talk about that dynamic duo, and it's got to be an emphasis for FAU to guard R.J. Brown in the half court.
Kaden Carlisle, transfer from both Stanford and Indiana. In Bloomington last year, he started 6 games.
Yeah, Vanterpool got a paint touch, which many coaches are sure to have a part of their offense. The ball was deflected out of bounds. We've got 13 on the shot clock as they play it.
Here is Vanterpool. What Coach Jake has called the heartbeat of this team. Carlisle cashes from 3. That's Kaden Carlisle. We mentioned coming off that season-high 21 points and a drubbing over Pacific. Rare to see a team from Boca Raton, Florida play back-to-back games against WCC opponents. Shelley gets the J to go.
Shelley's got a sweet lefty stroke, very confident, and he loves his step-back jump shot.
Shelley had a career-high 24 in last week's win over UC Santa Barbara as Carlisle gets the 3 and is fouled.
Jake, we may have to check the baskets here because threes and shooting is a good thing here in the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach.
George Mason put up 92 on these rims in game 1, and Carlisle hot as well.
Carlisle's got a beautiful stroke, and he's actually fouled on that one. He's going to get a chance for 4. Carlisle was an extremely highly rated player coming out of high school. Very well thought of by USA basketball as well. And as you mentioned, Stanford, then IU, and he's found a home here with the FAU Owls.
Yeah, he was a 5-star at the time of his signing with Stanford, ranked number 15 overall by ESPN. And Coach Jacobs was the top assistant at Baylor under Scott Drew and was part of that national championship staff in 2021. And Jacobs actually recruited Carlisle heavily when he was at Baylor. So some of those relationships you make, even if you turn schools down, you never know when you might rekindle with them later in your career. 5 to shoot now as Shelley is fouled on a long 2. That's not going to make Coach Jacobs happy.
No, not at all. And, you know, point of emphasis on the officiating side is allowing jump shooters to come down. And I think we saw it a little bit in the first game, but you see it right here with Shelley getting that left-handed jump shot again, but there was contact made as he came down to the floor. Nico Moretti has entered the game, the Italian baller from Bologna. A really, really talented, he's a left-handed player. Handles the ball, drives the floor, makes plays for his teammates, and loves the fact that he's a bit of a coach on the floor.
Yeah, season high 8 points versus Pacific for the redshirt junior and former Illinois transfer, as Jalen Shelley has one more free throw that he has no problems with. Fun start to this one, fast-paced.
Very fun start. You got some zone pressure in three-quarter court. And the Owls attack it with Carlisle with the deep 3.
He already has 2. They are going to review one of those 3s during the media timeout to see if his foot was on the line. So potential 1 point off the board. We'll know after our first commercial break. Rokas Yatsus. Nice feed inside, and Shelley can't finish at the rim.
Always great to have big guys who can pass it, and Yatsus is one of those guys who's skilled and is able to make that post feed. Shelley just couldn't finish it off the glass.
So this Florida Atlantic team, we mentioned the fast-paced start offensively for both teams. FAU averaging 84 points per game so far this season, and Coach Jacobs with a deeper team, we might see 9-10 guys play for this Owl squad. He wants to play with a faster pace. They wanted 90 points per game last year, as no problems at the rack for Nico Moretti.
Crafty guard.
FAU snapped a chance to go to 3 straight NCAA tournaments last year, as a turnover on LMU, their first of the night. Just getting going in Daytona Beach.
And certainly some of it involves whether or not how many angles the replay unit has. And on this one, they've determined that they change it from a 3 to a 2, and thus lose 1 more point from the scoreboard.
So Carlisle docked a point, FAU docked a point, so he now has 6. Still a tremendous start, though, for the junior, as we get another look here.
And that's probably the one that made their decision for them, to see that look like a right toe may have been on that 3-point line.
Nevertheless, what a fun start here in Daytona Beach. Both teams looking smooth.
They do look very smooth. And, you know, one of the things, Jake, that, you know, as coaches go to their benches and get deeper into their lineups, you see that the size remains the same. And you see them bring in a guy like Logie, who, number 77 here, the French product, got great size. He's very, very physical. And then similarly, LMU comes off the bench and brings Lithuanian Rokas Yatsus into the lineup, and they don't lose much size. And certainly MJ Amy onto the floor now, the terrific 6th man.
Plenty of international athleticism on the floor right now on both ends. Got to put one up. Reddy can't beat the shot clock. Offensive rebound, Elohim. And it's going the other way.
Well, you better be a man if you're going inside the paint and going up on the rim trying to rebound tonight.
The Loyola Marymount Lions, undefeated at 6-0. Just the second time in school history they've had that record to start a season. MJ Amy not on the same page as Josh Dalton, the freshman.
And you look here, you look at the lineup, and point guard A.J. Thomas goes out. Amy comes in, and they wind up kind of being point guard by position. Rodney Brown is a good guard and can handle the ball. And unfortunately for FAU, Logie sends a improper ball screen out top and is called for that foul.
Maxime Logie, the sophomore from Lyon, France, a transfer from Oregon State, where he averaged 3 points per game. In Corvallis. Here's Jalen Shelley. He's got 4 early. Easy call there.
Okay, you know, one thing that has happened so much as there has been greater and greater ball pressure by teams throughout college basketball in the beginning of the year. You know, they're so close, they're up into them. But you see a little bit more of this where a guard or a perimeter guy on a drive is going to clear out with that opposite hand. And when he extends that arm, it's always going to be a foul, and the officials are right on that one.
So it's the first on Shelley, third on the Lions of Loyola Marymount. Moretti had a look there, the top of the key. Pintalon connects.
I can tell you, I saw these guys play in person at Liberty versus Charleston. Pintalon is not passing up any open looks.
The freshman Dalton swatted away by Maxime Logie. And here comes FAU moving downhill. Moretti, short. Foul on LMU. It's on Josh Dalton.
Well, there was actually a takedown. I was surprised there weren't points given for a takedown, and I don't know much about wrestling, but I think Rokas and the big guy got tangled up there in the lane.
Are we talking pinfall, submission, hell in a cell, steel cage?
You lost me with the first one.
6 minutes in, it's FAU by 6. Pintalon. Logie can't finish off the glass. McBride now. Yes, sir. Take flight, young man.
McBride is your typical undersized forward. Sometimes he'll even play the 5 spot. But man, is he a good rebounder, and obviously showed there he can get himself to the rim and above the rim.
Pintalon, contested 3. Hand in face. It doesn't matter.
Ooskamp's finest shooter from Belgium.
A 46% three-point shooter this season so far. FAU by 7.
Bit of a steel cage match going between Logie and his Suns right now.
That's right. Elohim can't finish the long 2. Logie was hooked. Late whistle, but probably the right call as he falls to the ground.
Yeah, absolutely the right call. Well, it's been a furious pace so far. Throw ahead. He gives him that space. Little shot fake by McBride. He gets it right to the rim, and there's no help by the Owls. And I said, Pintalon's not passing him up. If he's open, he's taking shots.
Josiah Parker in the game for Florida Atlantic, the 6'7" freshman and the American Conference preseason freshman of the year, number 11 in blue. Carlisle, another 3, his 3rd of the first half. Timeout, Stan Johnson.
Carlisle rocked back and forth on his Sansa, got him back on his heels. and then raised up and buried that three over the outstretched Isanza.
So Florida Atlantic doubling up the Lions of LMU. Many points as LMU with 10.
You know, Jake, I'm a guy that always looks at shooting strokes as I try and evaluate players. And I know he hadn't shot it great to start the year, but in practice yesterday, the stroke looks beautiful. Obviously, he's a very talented player.
Transfer from both Indiana and Stanford, averaging 14 per game in the first 5 for FAU. This is MJ Amy, the leading scorer for LMU. Pickpocketed by the Owls. Moretti pumps the brakes. Oh, what a swing! And a deep three. Carlisle can't finish. Thomas. Good denial by the FAU defense. Brown connects from deep range.
Boy, the Lions needed that one. Brown handles, goes step back, and makes that tough shot.
Good defense by Amy to get a hand on it. It'll stay with the Owls. And with 11:38 to go in the first, it's FAU by a touchdown.
Mason, who did it in 06, and there have been some, but it was an absolutely fantastic run by Coach May and his group.
And the player inbounding the basketball right now, Devin Vanterpool, number 22, the lone remaining player from the Dusty May era who went to that Final Four. Here is Vanterpool. Gets contact, but travels first.
You know, Vanterpool really hasn't been heard from so far tonight, but he's been a major cog in this start for Florida Atlantic.
Coach Jacobs called him the heart of our team. He has leadership with familiarity.
New York City guard, played at Christ the King in the fabled New York City Catholic League.
10 on the timer for the Lions. Brown inside. Yatsus denied by the big fella Williams.
Screen roll. They found Yatsus inside, but Devin Williams was not having it.
Vanterpool. Nothing but net.
Vanterpool might have heard me.
Owls by 10. Another block for Williams. His second in the last minute. Thomas's three is way off. Here's the freshman Parker. The highest ranked recruit in Florida Atlantic history, a 4-star, according to 247sports.com. His older brother, Demond, is actually an assistant coach on Coach Jacobs' staff right now on the bench. Owls by a dozen. Yatsus finishes.
Yeah, surprisingly, Devin Williams has to know that Yatsus is a lefty and going to try and go over to that right shoulder with that short jump hook, which he always goes with. I'm surprised he didn't have a better attempt at blocking that one.
Rokas Yatsus, a 6'10 senior from Lithuania. First 2 years at LaSalle, and last season actually played just 45 minutes down the road at UCF in Orlando, as Josiah Parker is fouled.
Yatsus hails from Kaunas, Lithuania. If you know anything about European basketball, and certainly Olympic basketball, the Russia teams, years past, the majority of their best players were from Lithuania. And I think our viewers would know the names Šarūnas Marciulionis and Arvydas Sabonis, two of the greatest players in Lithuania history, and they're both from the city of Kaunas.
Plenty of European countries well represented in this game as Vanterpool nearly finished, and then he slaps Yatsus going the other way.
Vanterpool has really worked on his body, and you can see that certainly in his upper body, but also in his biceps.
Look at this international diversity from Florida Atlantic. They have 15 players from 7 different countries.
8 of those guys from 7 countries. We got 2 guys hailing from France.
So LMU, we mentioned the Lithuania representation is Sanzas from the Congo in Africa. Jan Vide, who didn't make the trip, the senior co-captain out of Slovenia. And without Jan Vide averaging 15 points per game, it's a next man up mentality for Coach Johnson's squad.
It is, and really disappointed that Vide is not here. I'm sure he is. I know that he's back home rehabbing. Terrific player from Slovenia, has had great success on the European FIBA tournaments that he's played in. Grew up in Domžal, just outside of Ljubljana.
Jalen Shelley with a nice one-handed finish. Another freshman from France, Johan Sissoko, with the basketball right now for the Owls, up by 8. Carlisle gets the screen from the big fella Williams and takes advantage.
Ball screen defense is so hugely important for both of these teams. Carlisle gets that ball screen on top and is able to rise up and finish.
Carlisle with 11, the only player on either side in double figures as Yatsus answers.
Yatsus is a guy that, even though he can do some things down low, very comfortable in a ball screen and pop situation, which he did that last possession.
That's the first made 3 from the senior out of Lithuania. He was 0 for 2 entering the year from downtown. Doesn't get many looks. But cashed in there for the first time in 2025-26, and Shelley gets another. Here come the Lions roaring back.
A shooting display on both ends of the floor.
LMU's made 3 in a row. Coach Johnson fired up on the sidelines. Elohim is short. Yatsus with the board. McBride at the elbow.
Middle ball screen.
Shelley with 8 to shoot. Could not finish. Nice feed from the freshman Sissoko. Creates an open 3. Offensive board Elohim. Fresh 20 for the Owls. Denied by McBride. Fun stretch here in Daytona Beach. Open corner 3. Nikyle Shelton, the grad student from Chicago, couldn't connect. Sissoko, nice ball handling. Keeps it alive. Elohim too much. Aggressive rebound by Shelley. They're letting them play here in the Sunshine State. Shelley to the rack. 2-point game. 8-0 run, LMU.
It is furious out there. Shelley with a little crossover right to left. Finishes at the basket. Shooting's been a premium here tonight in Daytona Beach at the Geico Sunshine Slam.
8 in a row for the Lions of LMU. It's Carlisle on one end. 14 in the second half, but this man, Jalen Shelley, who had a season-high 24 points, is a big reason why they came back and remained undefeated.
Well, coaches use the term multi-positional, and I think Shelley is a great example of that. He's a guy that can play inside, he can drive and get to the rim and finish over length, and he certainly can shoot it from deep.
Yeah, Coach Johnson called his versatility massive as Logie is fouled by McBride at the rim.
LMU foul charges 16 McBride.
Logie is a physical specimen, came from Oregon State. We mentioned he was from France. When I saw them play in person against Charleston at Liberty, he had some terrific finishes with a left hand around the basket. seems as his minutes have gone up and down a little bit. And that obviously might be just how he's playing that night and what Coach Jacobs is finding out of his rotations.
Yeah, he's averaging 10 minutes per game this year. Just 7 minutes last year, you mentioned, at Oregon State. But FAU has played some high-quality opponents earlier this season. Kind of reverse of what a lot of these teams do, where they start off with a few bye games and then get into the Thanksgiving week tournaments. But Coach Jacobs said we did the opposite, and we're embracing that with this 4-1 start. Travel.
Yeah, McBride, as hard as he plays and as much as he competes, probably not the most skilled of the Lions on the floor. And obviously terrific on-ball defense helped cause that turnover.
Coach Johnson with some words of wisdom for McBride, the junior from California. Pintalon gathers, hammers. Owls by 6. Under 5 to go in the first. The freshman, A.J. Thomas. Foul by Logie.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I don't think Pintalon's going to pass up any open jump shots, but he certainly is showing us he's able to put the ball on the floor and finish hard at the rim.
Xander Pintalon, now the second Owl in double figures behind Kaden Carlisle's 11.
As his career develops, he's just going to get physically stronger and get more and more confident. And the skill is there. The skill is really there.
So A.J. Thomas, the freshman, is coming off his first career start at LMU due to that Jan Vide injury. In that game against UC Santa Barbara, he was versatile. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists in 20 minutes of action.
When you think about the position he was thrust into with Vide's injury, and certainly in that terrific win at their rival UC Santa Barbara in the same region, and then the fact that he's here as a starter tonight.
Moretti, Logie denied by the big fella. That's 7'1" grad student Rick Isanza, an Oklahoma transfer. Double team. And a foul called. FAU's bench wanted to travel.
I think it was a physical play. I think it was a good call. Yeah, here's Nico getting into the lane. Logie thought he had that easy left finish, and Isanza was not having it.
Yeah, Isanza, the longest tenured Lion of LMU, was part of that historic win at Gonzaga in January of 2023 that ended Gonzaga's 75-game home win streak a couple of seasons ago. In fact, both Gonzaga and LMU, as Shelley airballs the jumper, are 2 of 4 undefeated teams in the WCC, one of the top conferences in college basketball.
And then you've got the Denver Pioneers, who you mentioned, who just had a good road win at Colorado State. We've been talking about the WCC, and they'll join them in the future.
Absolutely, and Coach Tommy Lloyd knows a thing or two about the WCC, former top assistant for Mark Few at Gonzaga, which means he knows a lot about this LMU team, one of 4 undefeated teams in the WCC with St. Mary's and Santa Clara.
And he also may be the GOAT in terms of international recruiting.
No doubt, as Kaden Carlisle stays hot in this first half. He's got 13 in the first. He looks really good.
This is the most comfortable and the most efficient I've seen him for an entire half. He's had spurts, but he's been fabulous.
Shelley with contact uses the glass to his advantage. Jalen Shelley has 13 as well. The guards trading punches in both blue and white. Here is Vanderpool, creates open space and cashes in the three.
You know, really the last part of Vanderpool's game that's coming along is his three-point shooting. He's a terrific defender. He's very skilled. He can drive it. He's got strength. Got a good mid-range game. If he can add three, which he's been doing, as MJ Amy fires one in for the Lions.
Man, MJ Amy had a large hand in front of his face, but it did not matter. Deficit cut back to 5. Carlisle resets. Pintalon pickpocketed by Jalen Shelley. Entered the game with just 3 total steals in the first 6 games. The big fella is Sanza, 7-1. Gets Williams to fake, but could not finish.
As Sanza gets that close, he's got to be able to put that one down.
2 minutes to go in the first half. 5-point game in Daytona Beach. Brown twists. Amy inside. Foul. It'll go against Vanderpool on FAU. Excuse me, it's going on the other number 22. My apologies, it's Sanza for LMU.
Gotcha.
So that is the team's 8th, and it was a loose ball foul, so it will be a 1-and-1 for FAU.
Great story about MJ Amy. He's been involved in all of the WCC leadership workshops that they do, sometimes over the summer, sometimes during the school year. He shared with me, and I heard it first on a broadcast by their local group, that coming out of high school, he worked DoorDash on a couple of weekends so he could raise money to pay for an entry fee of a showcase. And he winds up with a Division I scholarship, goes to San Jose State, finds a great home, and Coach Johnson's thrilled to have him here at LMU.
What a tremendous story. Coach Johnson also told us he's never been around a better leader in his career. He is the team's leading scorer, 18 points per game, and has come off the bench all season long. And Coach Stan Johnson said he pulled him aside at a preseason gathering and said, Coach, if you think me coming off the bench is best for this team, all I want to do is win at a high level. I give you the green light to have me come off the bench.
Talk about selfless.
Yep. Really, really impressive as a hammer home from Devin Williams.
Boy, as much as that's an impressive play by Williams, I love the pass by Moretti.
Nico Moretti has 2 assists so far. Final minute of play in this first half. It's FAU by 7. See if LMU decides to go 2 for 1 here. Amy with 5 to shoot. Nikyle Shelton. Kaboom. That's the grad student from Chicago, a transfer of Eastern Illinois. Shot clock off.
He had honors at Eastern Illinois. Probably going to go with a ball screen here. Screen down, screen the big into a ball screen. Look for a pocket pass.
Moretti, Vanderpool for 3 at the buzzer. The team leader, the only player who has that Final Four DNA, cashes in the final shot of the half.
Well, Coach Jacobs gets them right into their play. They wind up throwing back after penetration, and Vanderpool buries that high.
White found his footing at Stanford and Indiana, but so far, that is the high-level recruit we've seen in the first 20 minutes as we take a look at the first half stats. But both teams, 50% from downtown.
Yeah, and pretty evenly matched in almost every category as we have an early foul here.
Yeah, it's on FAU in this opening possession on Isaiah Elohim. So Loyola Marymount, a perfect 6-0 to begin the season. FAU 4-1, their lone loss at Liberty. as the three-pointer unsuccessful, but Asanza can't finish the dunk either. Rare to see the 7'1" big fella miss at the rim.
Well, I don't know if he missed as much as he was challenged greatly by Williams. And then you've got Pintalan. Vanterpool goes on a backdoor cut, but he stopped his cut. Pintalan threw it, expecting him to go, and they do not connect. We turn it over. The Lions bring it back down the floor.
Coach John Jacobs in his second season in Boca Raton as McBride takes flight. Aaron McBride coming into this game averaging 8 points and 8 rebounds. Carlisle with a team-high 13 in the first half. Unsuccessful on his first shot in the second half. McBride finds Asanza. 7'1" versus 6'10" Williams. Can't
Great
finish.
Post defense by Williams there, again making it difficult for Asanza.
Carlisle to the corner. Vanterpool lifts. Slapped and saved by Elohim in front of the FAU bench. Carlisle fouled by A.J. Thomas, the freshman.
It's interesting to watch LMU and their ball screen coverage.
For LMU, Aaron McBride, rack attack.
Pintalan was not ready for that one as they turn it over, and we go in transition again.
Here's Thomas inside to Yatsus. From Lithuania, finishes.
Sweet little lefty jump hook.
Yatsus at his third school in 4 years. 2 seasons at LaSalle in Philadelphia. Last year at UCF, just down the road here from Daytona Beach. About 45 minutes on I-4. As Yatsus and Brown not on the same page.
You know, one thing that's happening in ball screen coverage for LMU. Now, Asanza went out of the game and Yatsus came in. But they've basically been going into a drop coverage. But with Carlisle, it's hard to play off of him. But the bigs are not in a position to move well enough to get out there and show hard. Although here, Yatsus does just that. And a better defensive possession as Vanterpool probes into the lane.
Vanterpool for 3 with Yatsus in his face. Wave it off, going the other way. Loose ball foul on FAU.
Talked about it earlier. You got to be a man to be down there in the paint tonight, whether it be a block out or on drives and being physical. You got 2 physical, very athletic teams going at it here.
It's on Devin Williams, his first. Coach Johnson commanding his team on the sidelines. Brown. That was for the tie. And here comes Carlisle. Downhill quickly. Poked away. A.J. Thomas. Oh my goodness. It's 2 points. It wasn't pretty. The scoreboard doesn't matter how you get it done. Timeout.
This is 2. But they're going to bring that up in film section.
Wow. A.J. Thomas makes it.
Well, and you also see, as we look at their staff over there, there are 85-plus years of head coaching experience in Lorenzo Romar, Mark Phelps, and also Lou Williams. So he's got great assistance on that side.
Carlisle is fouled, as you see on the bottom left of your screen. Only 2 seasons where a 6-0 start has been one-upped. And if LMU wins this tournament, 2 wins in 2 days, they'll match that 8-0 best start in school history. Yeah, to your point, Lorenzo Romar leading the way on that assistant coach line. He said his staff could go anywhere in the country, and he leans on his squad, as you see Coach Romar, to use them as much as possible, because it's very rare to have that much experience on your assistant staff.
And Romar is one of the most highly thought of coaches in the entire profession.
Coach Romar in his second season on Coach Johnson's staff. In fact, all but one of the assistants are in their second season. And it's back to a 3-point game as Carlisle sinks both free throws.
Little zone look out of FAU, little 1-3-1 look. Vanderpool gets a deflection.
Shelley inside, short. FAU the other way. Just 2 points in nearly 4 minutes of this second half. Pintalon feeds Carlisle, swings it, Elohim, beautiful ball movement by the Owls.
Jake has told us previously, when they share the basketball, that they can be elite offensively, and that possession was just beautiful basketball.
Their 7th assist tonight, a team averaging 14 assists on the season. McBride thought about the three. Shelley, 7 to shoot. Steps back. Too much. Other way. Foul on Iatsus.
You know, sometimes when you talk about basketball, and the basketball gods will reward you when you have good offense, and that's exactly what happened on this last possession. And LMU has really made Pintalon a passer. They find the open shooter, bang for 3.
Feels like his team can improve on. In an ideal world, he wants 40% of his shots from 3, 40% at the rim, and just 20% as jumpers. His LMU squad looking to stay undefeated and move to 7-0 for just the second time in school history. Denied at the rim. McBride got a hand on that. Shot clock does not reset. It's at 5 right now. Moretti, Pintalon for 3. Too much. Did not hit the rim. That's a shot clock violation.
I think it actually did nick the rim. They're going to take a look at it to make sure.
So initially, they say it did not hit the rim, but now they might reverse the call. And the officials are going to go to the monitor. This is not challengeable, by the way. This is the officials looking at it.
Correct.
Let's see if we can get a look.
Well, if it happened, it would have happened on the other side of that rim. And certainly in any kind of a review, it's going to depend on what angles and where the cameras are. I don't think you can tell from this first look that we're getting.
Tough call.
The official who's out top, who is in officiating speak, is called the trail official at that point. Felt he had a good look at it and made that call.
I think the easiest way to tell to see if the ball takes a different direction after it would potentially hit the rim. Here's another angle. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably going to be blocked by the underside of the backboard there.
And remember, it has to be indisputable evidence to overturn. That's a close one, Coach.
Very close. And of course, FAU thinks it did, and LMU thinks it did not.
Here's another slow one. Let's see if the trajectory of the ball moves. Ooh. It may have there. Either way, we're going to have an unhappy coach.
We are. And the procedure for the officials is for all 3 to take a look. And then you always see in a game that they'll gather and discuss it and come up with their decision.
Brian Zink, Jason Bradwell, Jawan Williams, and they are going to call the shot clock violation.
Well, I think that's the right thing. And as you said, I don't think they had a great look to be able to change it.
LMU basketball as Coach Johnson sees his team come back towards his bench on offense in the second half. LMU has not scored in 2.5 minutes. Down by a half a dozen, early second half. Geico Sunshine Slam semifinal winner gets George Mason in the title game tomorrow. Loser has a third place date with Ohio. Amy can't connect the three.
FAU went to a zone look again, and LMU has not attacked it very well when he's been in that position.
The foul on Jalen Shelley off the ball for LMU.
And there was a lot of holding and grabbing even as that possession just started here in the half court.
Seen a ton of possessions with the Italian Nico Moretti handling the ball. He's got a couple of assists tonight. Running point for the Owls. 5 to shoot. Moretti with one hand. Loose ball. Oh, that is gritty from Elohim, who puts it back up and in. Elohim's got 6 points. Vanterpool with 9. Pintalon with 10. And Carlisle with 15 for the Owls. It's a holistic team effort in the first 26 minutes of play. The patience pays off as McBride finishes at the rim.
Undersized forward, hard cut to the basket, great catch and finish.
Inside the foul, that was Vincent Neugerbauer, the junior from Germany, in on it. But Isaiah Elohim, this was impressive.
He's just a scrappy kind of a guy, making plays, and all you can ask for your entire roster is that they compete the entire time, and both of these rosters are doing that here in the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach.
That was the third foul on Aaron McBride, by the way, as Elohim gets a well-deserved breather for FAU. With Sansa back in at 7-1, guarding the inbounder Carlisle. Carlisle to the corner. Vanterpool, the guards, chemistry on fire.
We talked about that dynamic duo in the open, and both of them certainly are showing out tonight. Carlisle and Vanterpool.
Combined 6 of 12 from downtown. The two backcourt mates. It's an FAU 9-point lead. Another empty possession for LMU. FAU can extend it to double figures here. Carlisle from the elbow gets it to go. Double-digit lead. FAU. Timeout. LMU.
Well, they wanted to push the pace, and they've done a great job of doing it, and that puts them in this 11-point lead right now.
Isaiah Elohim's shoe came off during the last bucket, and he's getting worked on the trainer's table. Look what happened here. Carlisle finishes, and there's Elohim celebrating, getting retaped.
You know, both of these teams are extremely competitive, but at the same time extremely connected, and they've had success, so they should feel that way at the start of this season.
Got to a 1-point game early in the second half, but now a 12-2 run for the Owls. Have them up by 11. This one intercepted by Pintalon. Owls can take their largest lead of the game right here. It's Vanterpool, short on the 3, and a foul on FAU as Pintalon was trying to grab the rebound.
And one thing that FAU does so well, especially here in the second half, they guard the ball, they get in gaps, so they do not drivers don't see that space and open driving lanes. And they rotate very well and help. As they show a zone again with an early 1-3-1 look that I think adjusts to a 2-3. As I mentioned, the Lions have not attacked this very well early on.
Brown swings it. Corner, open three, Shelton. That was much needed by the Lions.
2 for 2 from the line, 2 for 2 from the field. And he's made big baskets to kind of keep them in this a little bit.
That's the grad student from Chicago. As you see, FAU, 3 guys in double figures. It's a total team effort from the Owls so far. Moretti twirls. No answer in the paint. 5 to shoot. It's Carlisle. Desperate 3. Too strong. Long rebound, whistled, and a foul on Shelton.
Well, there's a hold as everybody's going to the backboard there. Possession ran down late. It was challenged. But guys going to the rim has been terrific with it. We break here.
A lot to be determined in the final 11 minutes and change here in Daytona. As Carlisle is denied. Pintalon was blocked by McBride.
McBride, a bit of a jack of all trades for this LMU group. Rebounds, defends, has driven it. I think the only thing missing is probably not an excellent three-point shooter like some of his teammates.
MJ Amy, the leading scorer for LMU this season. Count the bucket. He was fouled too.
You know, Amy has not had as many attempts. Moretti trying to keep him in front. Amy's a more physical, stronger player than him, and finishes, leans in with that left-hand shot to score it and go to the line.
Before this three-point play, it was just 3 points in the book for MJ Amy. This is a guy coming off a season-high 29 in the overtime win against the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara. He's been relatively quiet.
He has been quiet, and he only had 2 attempts before that drive.
So let's see if number 5 in white gets involved down the stretch here. As we have a 5-point game. Vanterpool in trouble. Double teamed.
So it's interesting out of the break that they may have decided to go ahead and blitz or double that ball screen, which is exactly what happened there. LMU did a great job of doing it without fouling. A lot of times guys will give a reach, get a bump, but they got a great call and caused a 5-second call violation.
The Lions chipping away as we approach the midway point of the second half. Brown, Amy, now it is Shelley. Creates contact on the ground. 15 foul for FAU, so they'll have 1 more to give.
You know, Pintalon is an athletic guy, moves his feet very well. But Jalen Shelley is a very tough guard for him. That's a tough one for him to guard from the top of the key, especially with shooters on either side and not much help for him.
Here's Amy. Baseline J, unsuccessful. Carlisle pumps the brakes. And McBride creates the 3-on-2. Euro step, no. Amy gets the offensive rebound. Regathers. And now it's Shelley with 10 to shoot in this second chance opportunity. LMU has just 2 second chance points. No longer. Shelton the 3. 2-point game. 9-0 run for the Lions, roaring back in Daytona Beach.
Drive and kick. And they find Shelton, who's 3 for 3.
Oh, what a feed! Devin Vanterpool to Pintalon to silence the LMU crowd.
Pintalon has spent most of this preseason or non-conference schedule really as a 3-point perimeter shooter. But he's shown an ability to drive it, and he's also moving without the ball and cutting hard, showing all of his abilities And obviously your teammates got to be able to find you. And this group can really pass. And Vanderpool finds Pintalan, rewards him with that hard cut. And you always want to finish that cut to the rim, which is exactly what Pintalan does.
Turnover number 8, meanwhile, by LMU as Jalen Shelley gives it away for the 3rd time tonight. Under 9 to go. Ball loose. Whistle. And they're going to say McBride tripped up Moretti.
Nico Moretti, as he tries to split that double there, creates that spot. And almost any time that there's a trip and a guy hits the floor, it's going to be a defensive foul.
The 7th, by the way, on LMU, so it's bonus time, 1-1.
You think about the guys on both benches here and the experience that they have and the levels that they've been at. We talked about the international guys, and they've got FIBA experience on the international scene as they grow up in their various countries playing with their national programs.
Oh, a foul after the missed putback. Maxime Logie didn't finish the dunk, but he gets 2 free throws.
Well, and that one's not going to look good in film session. And in terms of a bad block out, one place you've got to get a good block out is on the free throw line when you've got inside position. And Yatsus needed to step in front and not allow that free look.
So Maxime Logie with the offensive rebound is now 4 of 5 at the line this season, 3 of 3 tonight.
And I'm not saying Logie is an easy guy to block out. He looks like a defensive end in the NFL.
6'9", 232 from France. Shelley pumps the brakes. And a foul on FAU. That's their 6th, so the last one to give. It's on Logie. His 4th, by the way. As Neugebauer comes in for him off the bench. Baseline jumper. Shelton can't finish. Vanderpool. Neugebauer, bodies on the floor. MJ Amy. What a gritty play to get on the ground and get the ball back in his team's hands. That was a true 50-50 ball. Amy changed the odds. Shelley for 3. No. Stays with LMU. These Lions are gritty, coach.
They absolutely are. They just keep battling, keep coming at you. So this is interesting. They're looking at, FAU wants to look at to see whether or not they got this call right. They were considering a challenge. It has to happen quickly. And it looks like they will not go to the challenge.
Yeah, out of bounds calls are reviewable, and they will play on. Coach Jacobs letting it play as Shelton grabs it in front of his team's bench. 6 points for Amy tonight, coming off a season-high 29. Offensive foul. FAU by a half a dozen. Under 8 to go. Trying to remain unbeaten in 2025. And LMU actually has a ton of recent success in what they call these MTEs, multi-team events, over the last few seasons in warm weather climates. 2022, they won in Jamaica as Neugebauer finished the slam. And last year, right here on CBS Sports Network, winners in Cancun.
Well, and like I said, it's important. And you can get great momentum coming out of an MTE. That last possession, we just had a great set run by FAU, and they wind up with a dunk by Neugebauer.
Neugebauer, the junior from Germany. One of 2 Germans on this FAU roster with Max Langenfeld. Oh, what a denial! Devin Vanderpool, the ultimate rejection from the heartbeat of this FAU team.
That was spectacular.
Long two from Vanderpool. He can do it on both ends. Double-digit lead for the Owls. Under 7 to play. Brown, left alley, to the line for 2.
Block shots are a huge part of rim protection. Shelley coming to the rim, and Vanderpool, the perimeter guy, gets up there. Oh my goodness, 2 hands, doesn't foul. What a fabulous play in the half court for him to come over, be a secondary defender, and eliminate that chance at the rim.
Coach, blocks have been a common theme for the FAU defense this season. In 2 of their first 4 games, they had at least 10 blocks as a team. So far, they have 5 tonight. And Coach Jacobs has to love what he's seeing out of this defense the last couple of minutes.
He'll be telling Devin Williams, take that. I can block shots too.
Brown splits the pair. 9-point advantage for the Owls. Playing in their home state. It's about a 3.5-hour drive from Boca Raton to Daytona Beach. Elohim to the rack.
Elohim had that ankle retaped, and he certainly looked pretty strong on that right drive to the rim.
MJ Amy couldn't connect. Bodies on the floor.
Tremendous effort.
5-on-4 for the Lions. Amy, hop step. Slowing things down. Brown uses the glass.
Interesting on that play, the shot clock actually reset to 30 because it was recovered in the backcourt.
Owls have made their last 4 from the floor. Carlisle has been wet from 3. That's his 5th from downtown. He's got a team-high 17.
Under control, into the lane, kick to the right side to Carlisle. More success at the 3-point line.
Tie for the largest lead of the night for FAU. 12 points. McBride keeps it alive. Can't finish. Parker the board. And now the Owls smell blood in Daytona.
If Florida Atlantic scores here, they may need to go to a timeout.
Under 5 to go. Owls have made 5 straight. Can Vanderpool make it a 6th? No, but Neugerbauer keeps it alive. Carlisle again. No. Lions basketball. Outlet pass. Shelton finishes. Timeout on the... So they just announced that the timeout was actually called by LMU after there was initial thought that FAU called it. Some pressure here by the Lions defensively. Down by 10. Have not lost yet this season. They're 6-0. Inside, Williams finishes. A hot potato for the Owls.
Boy, you can't do it any better. Middle ball screen, move the ball, find high-low with an easy basket at the rim.
Stolen away by the freshman Parker. Vanderpool slips. Ball still in bounds. And McBride comes up with it. That was dangerous. Glad he's okay.
Dangerous. I was nervous for Vanderpool.
Brown, too much. And the 3-pointers for LMU have cooled down. They're 2 of 8 in the second half from deep range. Carlisle fouled. Owls by...
Fabulous player at St. Bonaventure. Had a long, storied career overseas. and he's been an NBA assistant for many, many years, often mentioned for head coaching positions, currently working with the Washington Wizards.
Devin Vanterpool had never started a game prior to this season, but we mentioned, and Coach Jacobs brought it up in our pregame call too, that Final Four DNA, while he didn't play a lot in Dusty May's tenure, that DNA goes a long way, and it shows.
It absolutely does, and Coach Jacobs gave a lot of credit to their strength coach, because he said when he came to campus from Christ the King in Queens, he was not that same player physically, and he's done a great job working with their individual development coaches and also with the strength coach. So credit to Vanterpool for his own development.
Carlisle's got a team-high 22. That is now a career high for Kaden Carlisle. It was previously 21 against Pacific last week, but now 22, the most in the career of the junior from Atlanta, Kaden Carlisle. Another block. Williams gets it for FAU. LMU keeps it alive, though. Amy doesn't see an opening.
The reason he didn't see the opening is because he saw Devin Williams there.
Will they wave that off? They'll count it to 2. So some discussion here. Remember, whichever way this is ruled, called basket interference or goaltending is challengeable.
Well, I think the question here is there's a little bit of confusion as to who tipped it in. Most likely it is interference, but is it goaltending or is there interference? Which player touched it? It's McBride, so it's LMU who touched it. They'll go ahead and take a look at that. I think the basket's going to come off the board.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's on the rim.
Seems like it was coming off a little bit, though.
Coming off, but I think it's still on.
Okay, so the coach is going to challenge the basket interference call. And this is one of 3 sections in the rule book, a new addition to college basketball this year that is challengeable, a called basket interference or goaltending. And that right now, it's LMU with the challenge.
Jake, a couple nuances of this rule. It has to be called on the floor for them to be able to go, number one, for a coach to challenge it, and then to be able to go and look at it. And in terms of the process of it all, each coach gets 1 challenge per game. They must have a timeout to be able to go to it. If they are successful on the challenge, they get 1 more, and then they also retain the timeout.
So there was some confusion on the floor. This is an FAU challenge because they called it a good basket, as we get the word here. Okay, so we just got the word from Jawan Williams. This is basket interference, so wave off the 2 points. It's a successful challenge, call overturned. Coach Jacobs keeps his timeout and keeps his challenge.
Correct, and good process by our officiating crew there.
Yeah, there was some confusion on what the call on the floor was, if it was goaltending or basket interference.
Well, and there was actually a good block out going on, but you weren't positive right away who actually tipped it in.
So FAU still has those 2 timeouts. Coach Jake is still with the 1 challenge as Amy catches the turnover. Down by 14 with under 3 to go. Now or never for the Lions to try to get back in this thing, and that's a good start as Shelley twists and heads to the rack.
Well, 2 things that FAU wants to do. Number 1, they do not want to turn the ball over. And number 2, they want to guard the 3-point line with a lead here with 2.5 minutes to play.
No rush whatsoever for the Owls. Inside! A hammer home for Devin Williams. Amy. Foul.
That's an easy call. Parker's got to be in better position there. Legal guarding position is 2 feet on the ground and facing your opponent. Amy, who's a tough cover himself. Easy to draw that foul off the very, very talented freshman Parker.
So MJ Amy, the co-captain for this team, averaging 18 points per game, the most for the Lions. FAU has done a tremendous job locking him down. He has just 7 points coming off a season-high 29. That's a big reason why FAU's up on double figures.
Well, there's no question that MJ Amy, even though he's not a starter, had to be at the very, very top of that scouting report, and they knew they had to do a great job on him to put themselves in a position to get this win here in the semifinal. A little more than 2 minutes left. Got to successfully get through this full court pressure, use a little bit of clock, and still get good shots as they go up the floor.
Best free throw shooter for FAU is Kanan Carlisle at 90%. He has the ball right now and loses it. It's a turnover.
He had an open lane. I think Coach Jacobs was calling a set from the sideline. Carlisle saw a wide open lane. He went down towards the rim, but got stripped, and it went off of him.
There is Coach Jacobs trying to lead his Owls to a 5-1 start and a spot in the championship game tomorrow. Brown can't finish the layup. Offensive rebound, McBride. Amy needed it, couldn't get it. We have a shoe on the ground. Right now, it is Vanterpool with the ball. We get the official's timeout because his right shoe is off. It's an official's timeout. And we'll restart. So LMU gonna have a mini line change here. 3 guys going to come in. And it's all guys deep off the bench. Think you start fouling here? Is that why?
With a 12-point lead, a minute and a half. Unless he's going to take some fouls to try and do that to get them to the foul line to extend this a little bit. They're going to bring energy, see if they can't get some double teams and see if they can't create some turnovers themselves.
10 to shoot here for the Owls in no rush, just trying to drain some clock. It's Carlisle. Williams, the offensive board. And a fresh 20 to drain some more time. That's a massive offensive rebound by the big fella, Devin Williams. He kicks it out to Vanterpool with 1 minute to go. Can't finish, but it's tipped back in. Potentially the dagger. Minute to go. Foul on the Owls. It's on Vanterpool, his 4th.
We talked about the number of conferences that are represented here. And the American, often led by a Memphis. Tulane is really good this year. FAU is going to be right there all season long.
I was surprised to see FAU in the preseason poll in the American 6th out of 13. You mentioned Memphis, they're the preseason favorites. USF, Coach Hodgson doing a great job as Nate Oates' assistant at Alabama and at Arkansas State. They're number 2. But you're right, this FAU team seems like they'll have a say at the top of the league so far this season.
They're deep. They play well. They play well together. They share the basketball. They can shoot the ball. They're going to create problems for teams at home and on the road.
Speaking of on the road, later on in the non-conference, FAU has another date with a WCC opponent, and it's against St. Mary's. That's going to be a phenomenal college basketball game out west.
Well, in preparation, we saw St. Mary's play Ohio. And, you know, St. Mary's in the WCC, you know, second to Gonzaga, you know, in terms of their success in recent seasons. Randy Bennett, you know, does a fabulous job with his group. They always have, you know, a significant international presence on their roster. and a very difficult place to play there in Moraga, California.
So both of these teams, as Carlisle now has 23 points to extend his career high, they're in leagues where at-large bids are very realistic. They're not guaranteed, but they're possible.
Certainly in the WCC, we talked about those other teams. San Francisco has a good win over Minnesota. Santa Clara had a terrific win over Xavier early. Herb Sendek, who was a mentor of Stan Johnson, does a terrific job out there in Santa Clara.
Oh, count that from deep range with the foul. Moretti not going to have a fun film session on that possession.
Well, Moretti, for a guy who is mostly an extremely heady player, you know, it's important in terms of emphasis on the ability to land, and yet at the same time, Thomas does a little bit of a kick out of his legs. And if you remember a few seasons ago, we dealt with flopping, and you know, that's something that you want to avoid. So you could even, and I don't think that was a severe one, but you could even call a foul on the shooter on that.
So 4-point play by Thomas, but FAU can dribble it out. They're going to hand the Loyola Marymount Lions their first loss of the season. But the Florida Atlantic Owls fly their way to a semifinal win. They've got a date with George Mason in the championship game here tomorrow night.
Well, this was a great contest, and I would expect that game tomorrow, George Mason and FAU, is going to be fabulous.